Hey, how's it going? I'm IlaGolden and welcome to Ila Reads. After leaving the kids with Cleo and Nia till the following afternoon, Echoe made her way towards Lilith's place. She hadn't spoken to her old friend properly since the fire and was keen to know both how she was doing and when rehearsals would start again. When she arrived at Lilith's place, she was surprised to find she wasn't the only cast member there and figured she'd probably missed a phone call that morning summoning them. Echoe! May bounded towards her. I was getting worried you wouldn't show up. Kitty and Twigs were sent to find everyone they could and gather them here, but Twigs said she hadn't been able to find you, but I guess she must have found you in the end if you're here. Zanny and I did try looking for you for a while, but we couldn't find you either, and we're just glad you made it. Zanny cut her off. Why didn't Lilith just phone everyone? Echoe frowned. That would have been easier, wouldn't it? She did that too. May nodded eagerly. But not everyone was home, so Twigs and Kitty were sent out to track down anyone who wasn't in. I guess whatever is said today will get noted down and posted to anyone they couldn't find, because else how will those people know what's going on? And I'm guessing we're all going to have to know what's going on, right? You don't think they're going to close the play down because of what happened, do you? Especially after Sonata was arrested and... How do you know she's been arrested? Echoe cut her off. Everyone knows. Jet suddenly appeared beside her, rather conveniently holding a newspaper with a revealing front page. One of the cops at the station leaked the story. And I'd better know which one too. She rolled her eyes. She didn't do it, you know. It wasn't her. They wouldn't have arrested her without evidence, though. The tone in Jet's voice was hard to read. I don't care what they have on her. It's either been planted or faked somehow. It wasn't her. It couldn't have been. How can you be so sure? He appeared to study her closely. Because Sunny's telekinetic powers are actually fairly weak, and whoever it was keeping me in that room was a match for me. That's how I can be so sure. I thought all sweet charm were reasonably strong telekinetically. It's something Alonzo used to boast about, right? It's true most sweet charms are telekinetically gifted, me even more so. But the Moors are known for their telepathy, and that's what Sunny inherited. She's incredibly strong telepathically, but telekinetically she's, at best, below average. I didn't know she was a telepath. May looked genuinely surprised. She doesn't really tell people, mostly because it's not a gift she's particularly fond of. Alonzo had a low opinion of telepaths, and anything he thought, she thought, at least whilst he was still alive to influence her. So you really don't think it could have been your sister, then? May blinked at her. Even if she trained really hard to get her telekinetic ability up, it's still unlikely, Echoe pulled a face. Honestly, I don't think it was her. I think it was someone else channeling through her to make her look guilty. Wait, people can actually do that? Zanny frowned. I thought my grandfolk were just messing with me. Huh? She shot him a look. When we were little, Zanny's grandfolk used to go on and on about how you can't trust a Strek user, May bristled. It used to really upset him because he couldn't help the powers he was born with and he could never tell if they were being serious with their accusations or not. Honestly, they could be really quite mean about it. Just the ones on my Patch's side, mind. The others were okay, but then on my Murmur's side, I wasn't the first to be born with Strek abilities. The first for a few generations, but not the first. I think my Patch's folk never really liked my Murmur or her family, and saw my Strek abilities as a good reason not to. But, honestly, I thought most of the reasons they gave me were just nonsense. Now I'm wondering how much truth there was in it. I'm not sure whether I should apologize to you for that or not. Echoe pulled a face. But you did say you would help figure out who was behind this, and since I'm pretty sure it's not Sunny, I definitely need help working out who would want to frame her and hurt me. You're looking at this as though hurting you is as much of an end goal as framing her. Jet folded his arms, the now rolled up newspaper slotted under one of his armpits. What if this is just about framing her and everything else is collateral damage? I have thought about that, she began chewing her lower lip. But that would mean it would have to be someone in our company who knows I'm Sunny's sister and not a particularly close one at that. We haven't exactly been quiet about our discussion of it, he shrugged. And Sonata's been at least a little antagonistic towards you in front of a number of people, so we're not necessarily looking at someone who knows your sisters, just someone who's worked with Sonata in passing before and knows what it looks like when she doesn't like someone. Maybe we should discuss this later, though, and somewhere a little more private. Zanny glanced around. It looks like everyone's heading inside. Right. Echoe watched as the crowd moved from the unnecessarily large driveway and garden area into the foyer of Lilith's mansion-like house. Are you okay getting in? May anxiously studied the steps leading up to the front door as the four of them moved towards the house. Yeah, I'll be fine, if one of you don't mind carrying my empty chair up. Lilith had a stair lift put in for me a few years back. She pointed. I'll do it. Jet and Zanny spoke pretty much simultaneously. I think it should be me. Zanny shot Jet an almost skeptical look. We wouldn't want your wings getting caught up in the chair by accident. You say that like I'd be flapping them or something. Jet rolled his eyes. What's the matter, Xander? Don't you trust me? I didn't say that, now did I? You didn't have to. And what's to say I trust you any more than you trust me? I'll carry the chair. By this time they were already by the stairs, and May was helping Echo into the lift. I don't know what your boys are being so macho about, but there's really no need for it. May folded the chair and all but lifted it over her head. It's so light a child could do it. She then bounded up the stairs before they could protest. Once at the top of the short flight, she turned and poked her tongue out at the pair of them. Something about the way she resolved the conflict made Echo smile. May's childlike energy was uplifting, but there was definitely an adult mind ticking along somewhere behind it. Still, as she started the chairlift and made her way up the flight of stairs, she couldn't help but wonder what had gotten into Zanny and Jet. She knew there was a little animosity between the two of them, but it quickly appeared to be growing into more than that. A cold shudder ran up and down Echo's spine as she suppressed several unpleasant emotions. Whatever was really going on between them would reveal itself in time, and that was all she had to worry about right now. Do you need help getting back in? May was practically dancing by Echo's unfolded chair. No, I should be able to manage, she smiled. You can head in if you like. Nah, no way, we're going as a group, she grinned. Right, Zanny? She turned towards him as he finished making it up the stairs. Right, he nodded. How else are we going to protect you? Always with the overdramatic. Jet rolled his eyes. Sometimes I wonder if you're trying to make her more anxious or something. I'm just trying to be a good friend. Whatever, he shrugged, before flashing a genuinely warm smile in Echo's direction. You ready? Yeah. Her heart fluttered as she returned his smile and repositioned herself in her chair. Then let's get in there already. He grabbed the handles of her chair and began pushing her forward. I want to know what's going on. The damage to the Honeysuckle Theatre, especially the area around the practice stage, was extensive. Liv's voice boomed as though she were delivering a key speech in some tragedy. I have already gotten my assistants looking for a new venue for us, she continued over the cast's concerned murmurs. But until they find somewhere, rehearsals will take place here in my modest little private entertainment hall. It's not ideal, but we must not allow this unpleasant little incident to set us back. The show, my darlings, will go on. What about Sonata? A wispy-looking pixie with bright blue hair raised her hand. Yes, well, I admit that situation is a little bit more of a headache. Liv dramatically folded her left arm across her chest, whilst positioning her right hand thoughtfully under her chin. We don't, as yet, have an understudy for her. I was planning to start those auditions next week, and I guess that will still go ahead. But until further notice, Kizzy will be standing in for Sonata. It's not ideal, I'll admit, but until we get our lead back or a decent understudy to step in, it will have to do. Does that mean you don't think she set the fire? Lon, beneath playing Anita's love interest, Buick, raised his hand, making Echo feel a little like she'd slipped back into school somehow. That'd be ridiculous! Why would my leading lady try to ruin the production which could boost her back into the spotlight? Lilith waved a dismissive hand. She was a child prodigy. She knows how every tiny little move you make in this business can either catapult you into superstardom or drop you into the pit of obscurity. I do not believe she would for a second jeopardize that. But the paper says there's strong evidence. The wispy pixie who'd spoken first appeared to take a step forward this time. Nonsense! The paper got its information from a corrupt police officer. I know she has a reputation, but I have watched this girl grow up, and I know her well enough to know when she is innocent. So in other words, you're saying you fully support Sonata, and you think we should too. Now it was Jet's turn to have his say, and there was something about the expression he was wearing which Echo wasn't sure she liked. She couldn't pinpoint exactly what it was, but it did make more than a few cold shivers run up and down her spine. His MPGs are really shining through, aren't they? May leant close enough to whisper in her ear. Yeah, I guess. Echo whispered back as she waited for Lilith's reply. After Jet's question, Lilith had kept quiet long enough to survey the entire crowd in front of her. She'd also bolstered herself up enough to make it feel as though whatever she was about to say next carried more weight than anything else any of them had ever heard before in their lives. I'm not going to tell any of you what you should and should not believe, but I am giving her my full support in this situation, and I expect every single one of you to respect that. Echo, darling, how are you? Liz's arms were open wide as she made her way towards her. I just can't imagine what you must be going through right now. The rest of the cast had been officially dismissed, but Echo had hung around for a chance to talk to Liz alone. May had been a little disappointed by this decision, but respected Echoe's long-standing friendship with their director-producer enough to leave with Jet and Zanny. I'm less worried about myself and more worried about Sunny, she sighed. You should have seen her in there. She looks so small. She is! Liz placed one hand on her hip and began massaging her temple with the other. Do the police really believe she's capable of arson and attempted murder? I don't know if they all believe that, but there is this one officer I met. Sounds to me like he's a possible candidate for the story being leaked. You have no idea what I was about to say about him. I don't need to, darling. It's written all over your face. Alonso didn't exactly do the sweet charm name any favours, and everyone knows just how under his thumb Sunny was by the end of it. Poor thing. It would have been a wretched situation to have been in. I don't know. She seemed to have coped with it. Echoe shifted her gaze away. Darling, you don't think she could be capable of this, do you? No, she shook her head. She couldn't be. I know she's not exactly the good, innocent little girl I wish she was, but I really don't think she's capable of doing something like this, directly or indirectly. I'm pretty sure she's being set up. I just wish I knew who by. Well, you've no shortage of suspects, that's for sure. She could be a right little she-demon under Alonso's control, from what I hear. Echoe lowered her gaze, and even she admits to not knowing how to behave after his death. So I guess the list of suspects could be way too long to narrow down, or at least way too long for us to. She pressed her lips together. What is it, darling? You have that look about you. No. I know Sunny knows who's behind this. She pretty much told me herself, but she shook her head. She wouldn't tell you? She says I wouldn't believe her unless she told me something. She made a slightly exasperated noise. But she said she couldn't. I don't know. Liz pressed her lips tightly together. Maybe we could talk to Marv Hollow, Twiggs's patch. He was a stage management on a number of the films Sunny worked on. Maybe he remembers something which might help us figure this all out. Wait, Twiggs's patch worked with Sunny in the past? Echoe suddenly remembered the person she spotted outside the police station. Not directly, obviously. Stage crew and cast don't exactly mix well, especially when Alonso is around. Was Twiggs ever there on set with him? Is there a chance she and Sunny know each other? If Sunny had been any other child actor, I would have said yes, there was a good chance they were friends, but with Alonso around, Sunny wasn't exactly allowed to be the sociable type. Maybe Twiggs took some kind of offence to that. Those words made Little laugh hard, as though she'd never heard anything quite so ridiculous. Oh, my darling Echoe! You've met Twiggs, right? Girl's practically afraid of her own shadow. She wouldn't have the courage to hurt a fly, never mind take offence at someone's actions. I'm not so sure about that, Echoe frowned. There's something odd, uncomfortably odd about her. That's just her way, darling. She doesn't mean anything by it. Lith waved a dismissive hand. She's just shy and socially awkward. As a result, she doesn't always know how she should behave. I'm sure if you told her how she came across to you, she'd be terribly embarrassed about it. You really don't think she could be capable of something like this, do you? She found herself studying her old friend. Twigs, no. Kizzy, on the other hand. You think Kizzy might be behind it? Honestly, no, I don't believe she is. However, I think she's the right kind of person to be involved with something like this. But as far as I know, Kizzy and Sunny have never crossed paths before by this point. Motives are slim on the ground, and as much as I think she's the type to get swept along by someone else's motives, she shrugged. Basically, you're saying she might be involved, but it's unlikely to be behind it, Echoe sighed. I know Sunny can rub people the wrong way the first time she meets them, but there's something about this which all feels like a slow burner, Liz completed for her. Yes, I know what you mean, but I'm not sure a hunch like that would help us much here. There are a number of people in the cast and crew who've either had a personal history with Sunny or have a family member with the same. Any one of them could have motive. I don't suppose you have a comprehensive list of all those people, do you? Of course not, darling, and a lot of what I do know about the possible connections between people and Sunny is based on conjecture and hearsay. So in other words, we're either dealing with a lot of genuine suspects or a few real suspects lost in a crowd of extras. I'm sorry, darling. I wish I could help clear this up a little more for you. It's okay, she sighed. I didn't expect to be able to narrow down the list by much. I was just hoping to have some place to start. I would say your best bet right now is to ask around a little, but I'm not sure how much that would help you. For all we know, this could be about Alonso and you being a sweet charm. Yeah, I've already considered that. I think I might ask my fellow crew members if they wouldn't mind doing the legwork for me. It might be a little safer that way. Good idea. Anyway, let's move on from this messy business, shall we? How about a little dinner? Sounds good to me, Echo nodded. What are we having? Whatever you want, darling. It's on me.
Enjoyed what you've heard so far? Please consider subscribing to find out when the next part's being released. Thanks for watching. See ya!